How's everything? We have a great show. We have a great show for all of you tonight. Hopefully you all are doing good. Hey, hello, Louis, Bradley, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let your friends know you are on the AniYa A show and we are live. The AniYa A show. Tonight we are speaking with co-founders of BWWB and Voting While Black Voters Guide. Watch, thank you so much for watching. Watch, share, love. And we're live. Hey. Hey. All right, guys. All right. Welcome back. Thank you for those that are already tuned in. Thank you to all those who are already tuned in on that good old Facebook and Instagram now, who are watching from all over the place. It's your girl AniYa A, and I'm so excited that we are back here together in this space, and we have such a great and important show for you all tonight. And we had to do what we had to do to come back together, because at the very end of the day, we want to educate and empower and make sure you all are engaged with our viewers, our communities, and we want to share the wealth of knowledge so that you all can understand why it's important that we engage you all, we talk to you, we share information with you, because we want to make this community a better space and place for each and every one of you. As you know, your girl AniYa A is back here live on the AniYa A show each and every week Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we had to alter the schedule just a little bit because we have some personal great things happening. And so because of the new schedule, we're going to try to get out as much information as possible. And as you all know, we also dedicate, I want to say we dedicate every Wednesday now to ECI, Team ECI, which is the Economic Crisis Initiative. And we want you all to be a part of Team ECI every week with us. And every week we bring more information, more, more joy, more ways for you to increase your wealth and decrease your debt and things of that nature. So in just a few minutes, we will have with us two beautiful sisters who are joining us from the great DMV. And if you don't know what DMV is, that's basically the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And they have a great initiative that we want to talk to you all about. And they're going to be presenting their platform with us this evening. Now, here's another thing about this beautiful duo. They have different backgrounds. They have very different backgrounds, but they've come together to share this wealth of knowledge with all of you and to make sure that you all understand what's going on here. You know, while you're Black, you need to know, there's a lot of things that are coming against us every day. As you all seen on Facebook just moments ago, right before I came on the platform, I was walking down 125th Street and they're shooting a movie. They're shooting another movie and the cast was predominantly white. We are being pushed out of Harlem like crazy. Gentrification is real. They're buying up buildings, at a rapid pace, and it's literally turning into Manhattan in Harlem. So I don't know if this is a good look for a lot of you, but I'm feeling like we're losing the essence of our community. And so with that being said, I just had to share that with you all because Harlem was the mecca for our community to strive and do the great things that the people did when it comes to culture, when it comes to art, and when it comes to, books and things of that nature. So with that being said, I'm not going to hold you all too much. I am going to literally read off a couple of bios for you as I let these beautiful sisters in. And shouts out to AniYa A. AniYa A, our president of the National Action Network in Washington, D.C., is the one who referred the girl AniYa A to these beautiful sisters. I got a call. I loved what they were working on. And I decided, you know what? It makes sense for us to have them on with us. So that's very exciting that they're here with us this evening. And really quickly, I'm going to share Dr. Diane Kern holds a PhD in clinical psychology from the Catholic University of America. She is licensed as a psychologist in the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. She possesses over 20 years of experience and an extensive background of therapeutic life coaching, workshop facilitation, and consultation skills with diverse populations. It says most recently, she has added to her professional resume the title of author. Her debut ebook, Go Forward to Work, How to Use Your Spies to Get Your Right Fit Job. I love that. Is a career guide aimed at leading persons to work that promotes happiness and success. Dr. Kern is a frequent expert speaker on a wide array of mental health and wellness topics. As creator of her Happy and Healthy You, Learn to Love Life and Live Well series, Dr. Kern she integrates her expertise in philosophy to empower others. Her warm interpersonal style combined with her expert facilitation skills encourage engagement, skill building, and the motivation to embark on positive change. Welcome to the AniYa A show, Dr. Diane Kern.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I just read over your bio real quick, and now I'm going to do Miss Valerie's, and then we'll let her in as well so we can get this show started. We are right on time, actually, so this is excellent. So we have a kind of a resume / bio here for Valarie Davis, JD MBA, and it basically says Valarie Davis Her education is from Boston University, Bachelor of Science, Business Administration, Finance concentration, the University of Michigan, Master of Business Administration, Marketing concentration, and she has her JD, which is the Juris Doctor at Georgetown University Law Center. Valarie's heritage is rooted in a family full of African-American preachers, teachers, and entrepreneurs with parents who were Mississippi tried civil rights advocates of the 1960s. She brings her relentless pursuit of justice for humanity to her work on behalf of women, children, and Black communities around the world. Her answer to the catastrophic pandemic-driven losses in Black communities was to convene a group of phenomenal Black women to save and uplift Black lives by offering workforce development and public health services. Contact Pros, LLC, and Elevate Her Inc. were birthed out of the pandemic in 2020. In just 4 months from launch, Contact Pros secured a federal government agency contract. Elevate Her has received multiple grants to deliver COVID-19 response and community health since its launch of fall 2020. Woo, so much there to unpack, and I'm just extremely excited to have both of these beautiful women with us this evening on the AniYa A Show. We have people watching all over Instagram as well as Facebook, and we are still growing on YouTube. So those that are on YouTube will be joining us very soon. But Facebook and Instagram is already here with us live, and I'm just so excited that we are back together in the studio where we can talk about this new thing that you all are doing. And it kind of stemmed during the pandemic or during the beginning of the pandemic. And I will let you both share with us exactly what it is that you're doing presently, exactly what being well while Black is, as well as the Black Voters Guide. So thank you again for joining us. As you know, we just read off your bios, and we want you to just share with us the information that the people are literally excited to learn about.
Well, I'm delighted to start things off. First of all, Sister AniYa, thank you very much for providing us this wonderful platform and availing us of your wonderful listeners. We realize that you have a broad reach, and this is exactly what it is that we hope to inspire. We hope to inspire, even though we're a grassroots effort, we are just a startup at this point, but we hope to start a movement. We want to empower Black voters and to create civic engagement. We want people to understand the critical importance of being able to stand up for ourselves as a people and to, first of all, exercise our precious vote and to hold our elected officials accountable for those issues that truly matter to us in our community. And so the Being Well While Black Voters Guide will be a nonpartisan, and I need to say that we'll probably say that more than once tonight, because we want to be very clear that we are not promoting any particular party or particular political campaign or political candidate at the, in terms of this project. We want to empower any and every Black voter to have the freedom and the comfort to vote, to exercise their vote, because that's a right that all of us have and should have as citizens. Unfortunately, as we're seeing, there are a host of already enacted efforts to suppress our vote throughout this country. And that is what we're concerned about. Like Valarie, I have always had a heart for social justice and civil rights. And I believe in advocating for us and also promoting other people to stand up for ourselves. So it's ridiculous for us to expect that anybody is going to do for us, which is our work to do. And so Valarie and I have decided to launch this very empowering project to get people on board, starting at the local level. You know, right now across the country, these are the primaries. We do not have a presidential election going on right now, so it's not a national election in that sense. But there's that saying that all politics are local. And by local, and Valarie does an excellent job explaining that, but bottom line is, whatever decisions are being made that affect your day-to-day living, the quality of the water you drink, whether your trash gets picked up, whether your schools in your neighborhood get appropriately funded, whether or not the taxes, your real estate or real property taxes go up on your property to a point where now you're priced out and you have to sell your property in order to live and move. I mean, all of those are issues that are local issues. Those are decided by one's local officials. So therefore, we are, our Black Voters Guide project basically starts there with each team being in your own local jurisdiction to have a voice in terms of identifying those priority issues that affect your lives that are most important to you. And then the guide will also provide information about where the candidates who are running for office, in other words, the decision makers, the people who make the policies, who vote for the laws, who get things done, what their stance is, what their platform is, what they plan to do. And in some cases, there are people who are incumbents who will be running for office again. We want to know what they've already done and to be able to document that so that we can inspire people to be smart voters. We want people to be informed so that they're not just looking at a ballot and saying, well, who is this? I have no idea who this person is, what they've done. We want to educate people, inform people so that people can truly vote smart and also then be in a position to hold people accountable, their elected officials accountable.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we would love to hear from you, Miss Valarie Davis.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Sister AniYa, for having us. I was talking to someone earlier today about the fatigue that I was feeling as a Black woman, right, in this moment, going through all kinds of stuff. And we ended up talking about how no matter what, we rise.
Yes.
And that's what this is about. This is about saying that there are just times when we have to put our fatigue aside. We have to put our frustration or disappointment aside. Sometimes we even have to put our how we physically feel aside and say, with the help of the Lord, I'm going to rise. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to help Black folks lift ourselves up. And the one place we are all equal is at the ballot box, if we can get there. Now that's a question, right, with voter suppression, but we're all equal. My vote is just as important and powerful as anybody who's sitting in Congress right now, as anybody who is sitting in a shack in some place where the water isn't running. We all have the same vote. And so we want to vote with power. And that's what this is about. And the name of our program, Being Well While Black, is all about that, right? Because it's a play on words, right? We've been sleeping while Black, walking while Black, running while Black. Well, we're going to be well. And we hope to share with you tonight what that whole fullness of being well is for Black folks and how we can go get more of it. Not just for the election, but what happens after that.
I love it. I love it. And real quick, I know you all are in the DMV communities. And where else are you located for those that don't know, or where do you anticipate on having your chapters and your teams so that you could be, well known throughout the nation?
Well, we consider ourselves already to be global in that just like your show, we, technology allows us to reach wherever anybody has the internet or a cell phone, or cell tower. So even in our Being While Black conversations, we've had participants from Mexico. We've had participants from England. The other night, we had someone who was dialing in from Egypt. But in terms of the Black Voter Guide, we have teams already formed in Washington, D.C. proper, and in two of the largest counties in the state in Maryland, right adjacent to Washington, D.C. So Montgomery County, Maryland, and Prince George's County, Maryland. We are working on bringing aboard Calvert County, Maryland. And we have the intention that we want to spark the initiative for others who are able to find other what we call Blacktivists where you live to do this same thing. We are very close, very, very close, just breaths away from primary elections if they already haven't happened. And so we are not necessarily organizing teams from our central area in other places because time is of the essence, but we want to be supportive and provide some direction and materials. If you're somewhere and we haven't named them in those 3 jurisdictions, be in touch with us so that we can help. We can support you as you launch your own Blacktivism effort where you live.
I love it. I love it. And I know we got connected through the wonderful AniYa A. That's my Blacktivist of the century. I love the Blackivisms. It's so powerful to put it that way. And I just wanted to again shout her out for her diligence in sharing with me your platform and how we can continue to grow and build. So kudos to Sister AniYa A, who's constantly working so hard to making sure our communities are connected and moving forward. So I love that. Now we could definitely, share with the public, a lot of the information that we know, resources, information that can really help the community, more of your platform, because I know there's 2 different platforms here, being Well While Black, and then of course the Black Voters Guide. And we have people that are watching for the first time, they're leaving us comments. Actually, right now we have a beautiful sister, Valarie Godfrey Scott. Hello, AniYa, I am a first-time visitor. Thank you, and welcome. And we have several new visitors that are watching for the first time. I'm seeing their names, so I'm excited about that. And oftentimes when the people are actually quiet, it's because they're learning and they're growing with us. And then we have our community here on Instagram who is watching as well. And then before the platform even started, before the program started, we got connected from a brother I hadn't heard from in a while. He saw the flyer that I put out and he wants us to do some work around mental health. So I have to get back with him, but in my haste to get the show started, I don't even recall who sent the message, but guys, if you're watching and you sent me a message right before the show, get back in contact with me so we can discuss this mental health and we can discuss this platform more because we want to keep you engaged. So yeah, so let's talk about the 2 different platforms. I don't know who wants to take over, either Sister Diane or Sister Valarie, because we want to be able to share with the community how these platforms, they're like 2 of the same, but they are also very different, because we want to make sure that people have a great understanding of what they can do in their communities and how they can navigate your system and all the information that you have prepared.
All right. Well, I will actually, being Well While Black came before Elevate Her. So I'll let Diane tell you a little bit about that and then how we came together.
Perfect.
Thank you, Valarie. Yes. Well, Being Well While Black was launched really directly in response and shortly after the pandemic began in May of 2020. It was at that time that Valarie and I, while doing some other work together, were in a conversation. We realized that we, as most other people were struggling. And we were trying to identify what it was we were experiencing. And we finally landed on the fact that we were grieving. We were experiencing the stress, the sadness, the anger. If you know anything about these various models of grief and the various emotions that come along with it, that's what we were experiencing. And we were struggling, as most other people were and have been to some degree, as a result of the pandemic. And that inspired us to, Valarie and I are both doers, so we got busy. We decided that, hey, wait, we're not going to just roll over and let this pandemic knock us out. And so we decided that it was time for us to get involved and to do something that was proactive. And we decided to, in response, to address the grief that people were experiencing. So we actually launched a series of 4 programs, four virtual programs dealing with the various types of grief that people were experiencing. Grief in terms of the actual loss of physical health and through the death of loved ones, which was real and probably and certainly the most painful aspect of the grief. Grief in terms of the loss of jobs and financial well-being and financial security. Grief in terms of the loss of of being able to have freedom and fellowship to interact with other people and move around and to do the things that we were used to doing that brought us so much joy and that were part of the lives that we knew. And also the freedom, then the grief associated with the loss of faith. I mean, some of us really struggled spiritually around this. Hey, well, why was this happening? What is the future like? Can I trust tomorrow? What is tomorrow going to bring? And certainly we saw, how as soon as we thought we were getting through one wave, here came another wave. And even as recently as last fall and winter. And so with the Omicron variant. So at that time, though, we were in the throes of things, because at that point we had the deaths were mounting, the illnesses were mounting, and there wasn't an end in sight at that point. And so that was when we decided to find some ways to help people cope. So those first 4 virtual sessions that we organized to address those different forms of grief were programs where we invited other experts, other presenters on. We had mental health professionals, we had clergy people, we had epidemiologists, scientists, and ourselves. We all banded together and brought our expertise to the table to to work together, collaborate, and offer ways for people to cope with this. So at the end of that, which was, I guess in June, we started in late May, we ended in late June, it kind of coincided shortly thereafter, or around that time, with the murder of George Floyd, yes, as well as the atrocities, the other brutal, violent deaths of other Black people that were, as a result of racism, and the racial reckoning that resulted from it. And we realized that it wasn't time to stop. If anything, it was time to really, sink our heels in to do this work and to make this an ongoing movement. So that was how Being Well While Black was launched. We, from that point on, we organized and had monthly virtual free conversations. The mission of Being Well While Black was to provide safe spaces for Black people to be able to have candid conversations about any aspect of Black well-being. And we define well-being very broadly, well-being in all aspects of Black life, be it education, health, finances, relationships, you name it. And so basically each month we would have a conversation that was very well organized, very well structured. Sometimes we had guest presenters. And in all of our conversations, we had a model where we talked about, where we helped people manage whatever we were feeling and whatever the topic was. So we talked about acknowledging, assessing, and addressing whatever that issue was. And then also each of our programs had what we call a section that dealt with right now relevant resources. Because again, being proactive, we are always about providing tools to people, providing ways for people to empower themselves and to cope with situations. So that was the genesis of our program. And basically each month we would have these conversations. And in addition to those conversations, we would periodically have some opportunities for folks just to relax, to let our hair down, to tap into our innovation as a people. As you know, we're the most creative people on earth. We're the people who, are the authors of artistic creativity, of innovation, of ways to just have fun and relax. So we would, I guess about maybe quarterly, we would actually have a lounge, Lounge program, where we brought in a variety of different people. We had someone do a program on poetry, where this poet came and inspired people to write their own poetry. We had someone do a fashion presentation, somebody who basically came in and gave us tips on how to use what we already have and put things together in a way, especially during the pandemic, because a lot of us forgot we even had clothes. And a lot of us, basically it was a way to kind of reconnect with that sense of style and fashion that, again, we're known for as a people. Let's see, we had a wine sommelier come in and do an educational program on wine tasting and the nature of wine, the wine selections. And I think we had somebody do something on music, if I remember correctly. But we had at least 3 or 4 lounge programs. So that is an important part of our programming as well, is because we want to come together as a people to enjoy each other and to do that in healthy, wholesome ways, and to also model for each other ways that we can have fun and tap into our resourcefulness, our creativity, and our innovative spirits. Then as we approached this past fall, we realized that we were in the midst of seeing how these voter suppression efforts were taking shape and how many of them have been successfully put into place. And we realized with this upcoming election season that things were mounting in a way that we just could not ignore anymore. So we switched gears. We decided to zero in and focus on our political activism, which, as you just heard, we coined as Blacktivism, and that it was time for us to take action, which we coined as taking Blaction. And so we started off in September by reading Stacey Abrams' book, Lead from the Outside. And, we were just inspired by her brilliant way of turning the Senate around, especially after her loss of the gubernatorial race in Georgia, so that she can, and she didn't go home and sit down. She didn't give up. She went back to the table. That's right.
And we have to encourage our community to keep going as well.
Absolutely. Well, we should not be surprised at opposition. And so that basically is her philosophy too. Opposition should, kind of give you the boost to stand up and fight. And so it was after the result of reading her book and discussing her strategies that we were inspired to do something ourselves. And in January, we launched the Black Voters Guide. And that's where we are now.
And remind us the name of her book, because I've seen it a number of times. It just fails me. The name of Stacey Abrams' book again?
Lead from the Outside.
Lead from the Outside. That is so powerful. And I'm so glad that you all have taken examples from Stacey Abrams and you continue to push forward. Dr. Diane, that is such a beautiful initiative and such a beautiful thing that you all are doing with this platform. Now, tell the people how this monthly, conversation occurs for all of you.
Well, and if you don't mind, Sister and I, do you mind if I share the screen for a couple of minutes?
It's available. The multiple screens is open for you to share.
Okay, yeah, because this does give a little bit of a background. Yeah, so here's the Black Voter Guide. I'm just going to, just briefly give a quick overview. And this is a PowerPoint presentation that is certainly available to your audience. If you would like to make this available, or the audience is welcome to go to our website. You see the website beingwellwhileblack.org. That is definitely a way for you to get more information about our organization and what we're doing, and specifically the Black Voters Guide. So as you see, and of course, Valarie is back on. She will explain the relationship with Elevate Her. By the way, Elevate Her was started by Valarie, and she can talk about that in more detail. But that is the organization under which we're operating, so that we can be a nonprofit organization. And as we said before, it is a nonpartisan project. So as you see, our mission is to be well, and I talked about that already in terms of our very comprehensive way of defining wellness. And basically, it's important that we recognize that politics, a lot of people think, well, wait a minute, Elevate Her is a health organization, and Being Well Black, they talk about Black health. And well, hello, we are not well when our basic needs and all of our issues are not addressed. So as you see on this slide, we're talking about all of the different arenas of our lives, the dimensions, of our lives. Most people, if you can't see what's there, we're talking about health, we're talking about environment and sustainability. Stop and think about your water, the quality of your water, the quality of our air. I live in a city where there's one area in particular where there's a bus barn issue with emissions, carbon emissions, and there's a higher rate of asthma and respiratory problems. And a lot of times we recognize that a lot of times those kinds of issues are overwhelmingly focused in Black communities.
And not to mention real quick, we talked about the high number of rates, morbidity rates for women, Black women, when it comes to Black women losing their babies. We will be talking about that on another segment. But these things that affect our Black people are literally needing to be addressed. And I'm happy that you all are taking the lead in making sure that we discuss these things on these platforms. Our politicians need to know that we are being affected the most. And real quick, we do have new visitors that are watching. And brother author Marion Donnell Nelson says, nice, thank you so much. And we still have people watching, and Mr. Visu is watching from South Africa, but he's here presently. So I'm so happy that he's watching as well, Mr. Vusu. So I'm so happy about that. And we have our friends that are tuned in on Instagram as well. If anybody has any questions and concerns, please bring them forward and write in your questions and concerns now. Go ahead, my sisters.
So as you see, and I'm just going to go through these briefly because, again, we want to make this available, but we want to really engage people in conversation as much as possible. So again, as you heard us use these terms, Black division and Blackson planning. That's where we are now with organizing our guide. So we want to make this an empowering, engaging project for Black folks, for us to make the changes that we desire in our current conditions in our communities, and also to demonstrate for future generations. So we do want to involve young people. We want this to be an educational, informative project as well, so that those who, especially younger people who are old enough to understand what we're going through and are old enough to either be voting for the first time or about to vote in the upcoming elections, that they're on board already, that we pass the baton, and that we also inspire some of the young people to even think about their role in politics, because that's one of the things that we really want to inspire and empower our people. So again, our Black health matters. We're not well, and we just talked about the different ways that any aspect of our life, whether or not you have a grocery store within a couple of miles of your house where you can get decent quality and affordable food, that is decided by the politicians in your neighborhood. Correct. Whether or not your school gets funded, all of those are issues that are decided by your elected officials. As Valarie has here, what kind of food is in your child's school lunches? That is decided by the school board, and guess how the school board gets picked? They're generally elected or appointed by somebody who's elected. I know in DC, they're appointed by the mayor. Guess what? The mayor is elected. And so, again, we need to recognize how important, again, as Valarie very eloquently put forth, our vote is, how precious that is. So I'm going to turn it over to Valarie now, because I want to just kind of give a brief introduction. And Valarie, I know that we're looking forward to you talking about Elevate Her, as well as our Blackson planning steps.
Thank you. Diane mentioned earlier that the Being Well While Black movement was formed out of that pandemic and in a period where we were experiencing grief. My grief was extremely personal in a different sort of way that led to the birth of Elevate Her. In April of 2020, and y'all raise your hands if you can identify with this kind of loss, right? In April of 2020, I was running another nonprofit that I had been running for 5 years, but had been in the making for 17 years. We have finally reached the 5-year point. And if you know any statistics about businesses in the United States, reaching 5 years, most businesses don't make it past 3, right? I'm talking like over 80%, right? And so we were selling tickets, we were having a gala, it was going to be all that and a bag of several chips, right? And then the pandemic came. And in 2 weeks, my nonprofit organization that I had poured heart and soul and money and everything into was gone. Poof, puff of smoke, gone. Because everything we did was in person. We were working with girls, and we had girls programs. We had a dance company. We had a gardening program, stuff we couldn't do virtually. So in 2 weeks, I just watched it crumble to nothing. And so my grief was not all those things, but it was like, wait a minute, I finally got to the point, I got over the hump, and now it's gone. And I was a little bit salty about it. Okay, a lot, right? I was saying, I'm not doing this again. I'm never going to try again. I'm just going to cry into my pillow and go get some job and let somebody give me benefits because being an entrepreneur is too hard. Well, if you're born to be an entrepreneur, it's just in your DNA. So I dried my pillow, changed my pillowcase, dried my tear, got up, and then I looked at the number. There was a day when 3,500 people were dying per day.
Yes.
Black people. And I said, oh no, not on my watch. Got together with 8 other Black women. We said, what are we going to do? And we formed Elevate Her. That's how it came. This no money, no time, no funding, no nothing. And in 4 months, we had a contract with the U.S. Department of Transportation. And as of now, so September 2022 was our 2-year anniversary. We're on our 7th grant right now.
Wow.
That's a God thing. I don't know what you believe in, but it wasn't Valarie because I had no money and no income and no people, right?
Amen.
And so grief and necessity can cause you to do some amazing things that you don't know you can do. Anybody with me? Can I get an amen? Right?
Amen.
Right?
Yeah.
And so here's my question to you. This might sound off topic, but it's not. If you are going to eat macaroni and cheese, candy yams, or your favorite meat like ribs, ham, whatever it is you eat, mac and cheese, candied ham, candy yams, or your favorite meat, do you want it cooked in a nice warm oven or do you want it cooked in the microwave?
In an
Put
oven.
it in chat.
Nice oven.
Put it in chat. Who wants the microwave mac and cheese? Put it in the chat. Don't be embarrassed. If that's you, it's all good.
Mm.
Who wants the microwave ribs? But who wants it in the oven? What you seeing, AniYa? Do we have any people want the microwave food?
No.
Right? Well, I'm gonna tell you something. Making change and grabbing power, that's not cooked up in the microwave. It's not quick, right? Coming out of slavery, not quick. Ask Sister Harriet Tubman.
Right.
Crossing that now named after Pettus Bridge on Bloody Sunday, which we just celebrated the anniversary, wasn't quick.
That's right.
Making it through this pandemic, which you've done because you're still here, not quick because it's not over and we're about to hit the 2-year anniversary. So my thing is this, what do you have planned for the summer? Put that in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat. What do you have planned for the summer?
Well, I'll say this real quick. Nothing has happened overnight except for the society we live in. And that's why I always share, we live in a microwave society now. And this is the way things have been programmed for us to be presently. So we want things a certain way, but society has altered everything about who we are and who we're becoming. And unfortunately, it's the trends that push this narrative. So I just had to share that for those that have heard it before, but even the viewers, they want it quick, even though they want the ribs in the oven and the macaroni in the oven with the 17 different cheeses. But then we have the society that's telling otherwise. And that's why we fall sick too, right? Because it's rush, 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 go, go, go. And here we are presently like trying to catch up and get well while Black or be well while Black. So it's a lot we have to deal with every single day. But I love the fact that you all are doing it and we're going to be a part of this journey with you.
So the Black Voter Guide is something that came to us because we realized we can want slow cook ribs or we can take microwave from the package macaroni and cheese if we want to. But there is a march to the polls that does not wait on us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I asked you what you're doing this summer. Anybody respond, Miss AniYa, in the chat? Sister AniYa,
we have
going to Disney.
Do any of you know who Valarie Godfrey Scott is? Is that your?
Yes, she's from Maryland.
Okay, perfect. Because I was like, she's a new visitor here, learning what I can do to help my sisters and brothers. And we must learn patience and trust the process as we keep it moving. That's right, sister. I'm having a baby over the summer, so that's what I'm having. And it takes 9 months to carry one of these little humans.
Right. So one of the things I would like to be the answer is that you're going to vote.
Yes.
Because
okay.
there's going to be an election, whether or not you think about it, whether or not you plan for it. And we want people to go to the polls smart, right? So if you look at this calendar that you see on the screen, this is what we're doing, right?
Nice.
You have, if you are in the United States, you have 2 elections that are coming up. You have a primary election when you pick people within political parties who will be nominated against the competitors there. And then we have the November 8th election, where midterm election, where parties pick their nominees and they run against each other and we see who wins. So June, when we all want to be out and about, when we want to be glad that school is over, when we're happy that we can take off that mask, when we've already planned that we're going to whatever beach, whatever amusement park, or just out on the back patio without a mask, is also the time that we could change the way that our country is run. So we're asking people to pay attention to that thing. And if you've never heard of a group called the League of Women Voters, this is a decades old group that puts together a guide that many of us go and snatch right before we go vote. This is a guide where the League of Women Voters puts before everybody that wants your vote a set of questions. And they put it they use a paper form with a profile of each candidate. And each candidate responds to what are you willing to do to improve the water supply? What do you have planned to close the achievement gap in schools? How are you planning to protect our environment and improve green construction? Whatever it is they come up with for questions. And people use that to get an informed view before they go and decide who to vote for. We decided that we want to put questions for the Black community about all the things that determine our health before everybody that wants our vote. That's what the Black Voter Guide is. So that when you go, not only in paper form, but on your phone, where you live, and right now we have 3 jurisdictions participating, you'll be able to go and build your own ballot, but it's based on the questions that your community came up with, right? So we're in the month of March, you see there, we're having these virtual community conversations where we invite everybody from youngsters in middle school all the way up to our veterans and those in nursing homes. And we're going to say, around that wheel of wellness, if you scroll back up to where you see that little colorful wheel, in every little part of that wheel of wellness, what do you want your elected officials to be accountable for? What's the question that you have? And so that one that you see about who cooks up school lunches, let's just think about that. When I ask that question, who is in charge of school lunch? I pick something that hopefully young folks care about. When it comes to school lunch, who's in charge? Anything coming up, put it in the chat. Tell me who you think it is. Now, you might obviously say the school system, right?
That's what people think.
Right. You think that the people who run the schools decide what's in the school lunch. Okay, they have a part in it. So maybe you say, yeah, that's why I want my child to have a nutritious lunch, or I think it should be free, and the school system decides. But who decides what's healthy to go in a school lunch? That would be the Food and Drug Administration. Who decides whether it's free? Do you know that many of the free lunches that have been funded over the past 2 years were funded with emergency funding due to COVID? Before, you had to qualify for a free lunch based on your income.
Correct.
In COVID, because of the drastic economic effect on families, they said everybody gets free lunch.
Everybody.
I was on a call today with my county school district, the biggest county in the state of Maryland, and they said, we don't know what we're going to do about lunches because the funding is gone.
Wow.
Oh, no.
We may have to go back to our previous way of qualifying students for lunch by income. So if you were counting on that sandwich and that piece of fruit and whatever you saw continuing out of COVID, and you built your budget around that, it wasn't the school board that decided that. Your federally elected officials decided not to fund it in the budget.
And
how we connect the dots?
This is what we have to know as a people.
That's right.
And will we have this slideshow presentation again available for those that want to have this presentation later?
Absolutely. We give it to you, you send it to your people, it has our information. And we, like Diane said, we strive to give you right now relevant resources. We start from Civic Engagement 101. We don't assume anybody knows what anything means, right? So this screen that you see right now, identify and reach your representatives. If you don't know who your representatives is, there's no shame in that. Just go to that website right there, put in your zip code, and it'll tell you who your representatives are. If you don't know when your elections are, go to Ballotpedia right on your screen, type it in, and put the election on your calendar, like everything else. If you've heard this thing about redistricting, like what is it? What is it? That means redrawing the lines to decide where you get to vote and with whom you get to vote. You might not be able to go to the same poll you went to in the last election because districts have been redrawn. In the chat, anybody, how do you redraw a district? What's it based on? Anybody know?
Anybody know? Go ahead and type it in.
What is redistricting based on?
And for those real quick that are on Instagram, for you to be able to see what's going on Facebook, join us at AniYa A period on Facebook, and you will be able to see this beautiful slide presentation and the sisters that are being interviewed right now on the AniYa A show.
So here's the answer.
What is the answer, guys? How do we redistrict?
Come on, somebody has the answer. I know they're doing it. I know they do. I know they do.
Oh, Valerie's on top of it. I just thought Rachel knew. Rachel Brumfield, hey, sweetie. But Valarie says based on census, based on the census.
Do you remember that form? They came and knocked on your door in 2020.
Yes.
And they said, please fill this out, please fill this out, please fill this out.
They come around every 10 years.
That's right.
Census is everything, y'all.
Right.
Because they're counting the number of people and the types of people that live throughout this country. It determines, one, how many representatives you get representing you. It determines how the lines are drawn to decide that districts are fair and representative and not discriminatory. So again, you may find that this year you vote in a different polling place and your district has been redrawn. It determines how much money comes to your area based on how many people filled it out. And here's the bad part. Y'all get ready, grab your tissues. Grab your tissues and grab your armor.
There you go.
Right? Because now stay with me. This is the part where I promise you, and I don't mean to be insulting, this is not a microwave moment. This is not a brain's going to explode moment. This is truth. Do you know that let me ask you a question. Do you have the same household budget this year that you had 10 years ago? How many people have the same household budget? Like you can use 10 years ago money to pay for today's thing. Anybody? That's a no.
Not even a year ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Your federally elected officials decided to fund the census outreach for 2020 at the same level they did for 2010.
That's ridiculous.
So that's why it ended early, because there wasn't funding. And guess who didn't get counted the most? Google it.
Our community.
The Census Bureau is telling you that the outcome is that they have undercounted Black people of color. So guess what? When they count less of us, we get less what?
Funding.
Money, resources.
Correct.
That's right.
Just let that sink in. And that's going to be that way for 10 years.
That's right.
10 years.
But it's systematic that way.
Yes.
It's based on history. And how do we change that? Because anything we do, we have the Black elected officials. And here's the point. We live in New York City, which is supposed to be a democratic state. And you'd be surprised the crap we go through and how much, and I hate to sound like this, but you all know I don't hold my tongue for anything, but they buy off these politicians, ladies. And we try our best. We literally, and this is one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to interview you both, because when I heard about your platform, it definitely made sense for us to speak with those that are trying to make a difference. I say the word trying because no matter what it seems like we do, because we are this, we never get anywhere. We are always at the bottom of the barrel, and others utilize our platforms as activists or Blacktivists, and they get everything as we get the bottom of the barrel. And
well, that's what, but you know what, Sister AniYa, that is why it's going to be so critical that we learn how to hold our elected officials accountable. It's not enough just to see where many of us fought, died for the right to vote, and so many of us appreciate that. And we have turned out historically for the presidential elections. You know, look at it. We turned out in record numbers to elect President Obama 2 times. Okay. And then we sat home. And unfortunately, his hands were tied because we did not show up the next time for the midterm elections. And those are the ones that mattered, because keep in mind, it's at that level that we vote for the state representatives and the delegates and the senators and Congress people, and so as well as your local officials. But then when we get people into office, it's not time to just go home and sit down. This is when you hold people accountable and you say, okay, now wait a minute, according to, you know, what your platform that you ran on, you said that you were going to clean up this water in Michigan or whatever, wherever that was, you know, in the various places. And, you know, when are you going to get started on that? Yes. When do we have a meeting? And to demand, it is time that we demand a presence. But if you don't feel that you have rights, and then anybody can come and take them away from you. And let me just share. So part of it, just like Valarie was saying, it is the oven baked, the home cooked, slow cooked, oven baked. We have got to show up. I'm just going to tell you, I used to be very active with the teachers union in DC and used to go to board meetings, educational board meetings. I could count the parents who showed up. You know.
And that's one of the key points about our community too, because we get frustrated and we are literally always, like I said, we you know, it's so heavy. This whole thing is so heavy. We're gonna have to do a part 2, 3, and 4. In the meantime, we have the comments coming in from Instagram. We have Bay of Wakanda forever. I love that. And Bay of Wakanda says it's all about accountability. Where is it? Yes, Bay of Wakanda. Let me flip the hair on that one. And we have Janine 2K18 Boss. You know, these new names, they got me. Woo, honey. And she says good stuff. We have people watching from everywhere. Rachel Brumfield is definitely watching and listening, she says. So she's not even interjecting. She's just listening. She's here for it. And then we have, of course, Valarie again from the DMV, who says some vendors that you don't know. And I don't know exactly what part she was referring to. So Valarie, go ahead and send that message again as to what part you're referring to when you're speaking about the vendors, because right now we need all the information we can get. Yes. We need to help the people not be frustrated, and we need to just continue to work together as a community, because that's what these ladies are dedicating their time and energy towards, because if somebody don't do it, it's not going to get done. So I commend these beautiful ladies. And again, I see my sister Stacey Abrams' picture here, which is super dope. Again, I know Dr. Diane just mentioned her moments ago, and her book, and how you guys are doing, how you ladies are doing, you know, series on her, and she motivated you all. And one thing I wanted to reiterate about the beautiful one and only Stacey Abrams is her tenacity and her desire to not give up when these people literally try to shut every door down on her. If you don't know what happened to Stacey Abrams, our sister who ran for that gubernatorial, she was the nominee, but she ran for that position, and what happened to her in the dirty, dirty South was just indescribable. However, she didn't back down from the fight, and she's still pushing forward, and she has a book out. And these beautiful sisters, you know, I want you to reiterate, you know, the reason why you chose her, ladies, you know, to have the series on her, and then any quotes from her book that you want to share, because I tell you, during these times, it's easy for people to give up. Okay, I want y'all to comment. Is it easy for people to give up? Yes or no? Talk to me, but go ahead.
So if you scroll back up to the 3rd slide, it's entitled Blacktivism and Blaction Planning.
Okay, wait a minute, let me get to.
Yeah, scroll back up. You will see some of what our guiding quotes are, and our guiding words of wisdom are from Queen Stacey. So it's that one, Blacktivism and Blaction Planning. At the bottom of this, these are quotes from her book.
Yeah, these are
on the
quotes.
Outside. I love it. If we take ownership of our identities, let's just stop right there.
That's right. Hello. That's huge right there.
We take ownership of our identity. That means we don't let people define us. We define ourselves.
Correct.
Step one, and leverage our capacity to lead. Not waiting on anybody. I've seen too many times. Where's the next Jesse Jackson? Where's the next Martin Luther King? Where's the next Fannie Lou Hamer? You looking at her, look in the mirror.
Hello.
That's you.
That's you.
Right?
That's right.
Because in the power of this right here, do you know you can reach the world? Because some president did it every time he felt like it. That is the world with Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So, you waiting on somebody else? Stop waiting. It's right here. If we do this, we will make waves and headlines and enemies.
Yes.
This requires armor. This
That's
is
right.
warrior work.
That's right.
Second quote, change is disruptive, uncomfortable, and inevitable. Something is going to change, right? Whether you, just by living, if you just show up and do nothing, if you sat in your chair, I used to tell my mother that I think some of the stuff on TV is so silly that I'm going to start a show called the Do Nothing Show. Don't take my idea. I'm going to get on camera just like this, and I'm sitting in the chair with no background, and I'm going to do nothing. And I promise you I'll be a worldwide hit, right? They'll be like, what is she going to do next? Did she move her eyebrow, right? Right? But the point is that change happens. Change happens even if we do nothing. I could sit there and do nothing, but the world is going to move on. She said, but if we are each responsible for shaping the direction of our new power, we can make change. Change, you've heard this before, and power. Change is going to happen. And so somebody's power shifts are going to happen. The question is, are you going to get more? Are we going to get more as a people?
And let me just
part
share.
of the challenge is that
now. Just share real quick. Sister A of Wakanda says, this is about survival. We cannot give up. Yes, Bay of Wakanda. I'm loving these comments on tonight. We cannot give up. We shall not give up.
I mean, what would that look like?
Yeah.
Let's just play it out. If you just decide, you know what, I'm just going to do me. I'm going to do Valarie. And Valarie's good. And Valarie's 14-year-old daughter who's downstairs. I'm a single mom and I'm not flush. I got a few bags, but they're not that big, right? I'm carrying them and making them every day. But I decide, you know what, y'all do you. I'm going to be over here in suburban Maryland. I'm going to do me. And, you know, but to each his own. I could do that. But guess what? That will leave my daughter in a world worse than the one my parents gave me.
Absolutely.
There are only two things that move power. Hear me. Money and votes.
Yep.
Now, all of that sits in the hand of God. My father's a preacher. I could go there, but I won't because that was not what we were invited to do. But I understand where ultimate power rests. But in the world, money and vote. So when you talk about holding people accountable, you have to be collective in your action to say, every time I write to you, Senator so-and-so, I'm part of a group that represents 150,000 people like me. So you probably want to respond.
There you go.
And let me cut deep. Sister AniYa, I think in my bio, you read that I'm a psychologist. So one of the things that Valarie and I often bring to our programs is the issue of mental health. And I want to just go there. I will go there right now in terms of Black folk. You know, we have been traumatized as a people, and therefore it is very easy for a lot of us to give into fear, to basically, and another form of fear is to detach. Okay? You know, to suppress, to act like everything, to go into denial, to act like, as Valarie was illustrating just now. Yeah, some of us just, you know, adopt this attitude of apathy. Oh, well, that's not my problem. Well, yes, but guess what? You're standing on the shoulders of people who died and sacrificed and made a way for you. And as Valarie indicated, where would we be had somebody had those attitudes? Had somebody just decided, oh, you know what, there's never, oh, it's hopeless. One extreme or the other. Oh, it's hopeless. Change is never going to happen, so we might as well not even try.
Right.
Okay. Or if somebody had just said, well, you know what, we got a little bit of something, let's just settle for that. It's not going to work, people.
Nope.
And this is about us really stepping up to our value. You know, we have a Black Lives Matter movement. Let's act like our Black Lives Matter. That's what I say. You know, let's activate that, actualize it. You know, we act like our Black Lives Matter when we do like Queen Stacy did, and we stand up for ourselves and we recognize, yes, we are going to create enemies. There are going to be people who do not like the fact that we stand up for ourselves. Simple as that. But guess what? Get ready for it.
Get ready, get ready.
Even in this, we've had people say to us, Black people and non-Black people, why do y'all need a Black voter guide? I mean, should we have a white voter guide too?
They
the Asian voter guide too. I'm not making this up. And we just started. We just got this thing together. This was our Martin Luther King Day on activity when we first launched our teams. We've been here a minute doing this. And we've already got questions about, well, why do you need that? And shouldn't everybody else have one?
Unreal.
I could tell you, responses, but we're here. So enemies are coming. And they only come when you're doing something that has power and is threatening. So I'm like, bring it. Okay, whatever you got, bring it. And our job is to anticipate it. Here's the thing. Do you know there are already people planning for how to influence the 2030 census? Today. So this idea that it can wait, or after I finish my degree, hear me, people, or after my daughter graduates from college, or after I have that surgery, this process of so-called democracy has a calendar and is not going to wait on you.
That's right.
It will just run right over you. So here's a fun fact. Hit us up in the chat. How many Black senators do we have? Anybody know?
Let's see if anybody knows.
How many Black senators do we currently have? And can you name them? Come on, interactive. Come on. Give me one. Give me two. Somebody give me all three.
Come on now.
Come on.
How many Black senators?
I'll give you a clue. It's more than one and less than 20.
Ooh. Chantal just joined us. Act now, she says. Chantal, tell us, how many Black senators do we have?
Come on.
How many Black senators do we have? How many Black senators do we have? You don't think we have any, Lord Jesus. In the US. Edgar, where's Edgar?
You know this is the most fun you ever had on a Monday night, y'all. Come on. Okay. Got it down. 5, 4.
One more person. How many Black senators do we have?
3, 2.5.
That's kind of the answer.
1.5. 1.25.
2. I heard 2 over here from Brother Edgar.
Okay, here's the answer. Drum roll, please. 3.
3. He was
3.
So
somebody give me a name.
Cory Booker, one of them.
Yes, Cory Booker is a Democrat from where? New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Somebody give me another one that was elected in Georgia, who's also a pastor.
Warnock. I love him.
Reverend Raphael Warnock he was a preacher.
He's my pastor.
Democrat from Georgia. And who's the last one?
Is it? I was gonna say Shirley Chisholm. Lord have mercy.
Oh no! Don't
we can talk about Shirley in a minute, but no. And his name
the
is
brother, and he's been there forever. He's well, not forever, but he's from South Carolina.
Tim Scott, a Republican from South Carolina. I want you to think about that. How many senators
I don't know him.
How many senators?
I forgot about that.
Senate.
You were so close.
If we get 2 per state, how many senators are there in the Senate?
We're not from Georgia, and Tim Scott, a Black Republican. We would have never got that.
Right. So if we have 100 senators, we have 3 that
3% of the Senate.
And how many Black women are senators?
0.
Let that sit on you.
0.
Let that sit right there.
Wow.
There are no sisters in the Senate. Okay, fun fact. This is important because if
Yeah.
you don't know where you come from, you don't understand how important it is to get somewhere else, right?
That's right. You can't determine where you're going.
In the 252 years that the Senate has been in existence, listen to that number, 252 years. How many senators have been Black? 252 years, long time. We had a long time. How many senators have been Black in 252 years? Come on in the chat.
I heard 0. I heard 19.
Well, you can count the
Well,
ones
we
we
can't
have
say
now.
0. We got 3.
Now.
Yeah.
Right. Well, look, we're getting all sorts of numbers now.
Come
One
on.
Kamala left, only one AA senator, African-American senator.
In
Instagram, are you paying attention?
252 years, we got 3 right now, so it's more than 3.
So King Willie from Instagram says, less than 20. These people are watching. Fact says King Willie, New York has a few, less than 20. We're getting some interaction here tonight, y'all. I'm loving it.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please. Let's do it. Let's do it.
11.
11 and 252
Oh.
years. 252 years.
Wow.
Most of them were in the period of Reconstruction after the end of slavery. We had more then than we have now. So if you think we can't lose, you might not think we see gains. To your point before, now we can't get ahead, but we can go backwards, and we have. We can't afford that. Fun fact: how many congressional representatives do we have? I'll give you the number 57. Just fun fact. So when you think about the power of your vote determines everything.
That's right.
Because the people who decide whether or not to count you are the people that you voted or didn't vote for. That's the census.
That's it.
When they decide not to fund it, they don't have enough people to knock on doors. So they don't go to enough of our neighborhoods. So our neighborhoods don't get the money that we need.
That's right.
That A and B, those are the dots that connect. And the fact that there are no Black women in the Senate, we've lost Kamala Harris.
Right.
Yeah.
That one. But she flew up, and that's wonderful. But there's no sisters in the Senate, y'all. So think about this. Who can you put there? Who could you decide right where you live? New York, Mississippi, Maryland. How do you get together a group to feed the pipeline to get there? And you know where it starts? It starts on your local Board of Education. It starts on your local committee that the county executive wants on, environmental waste. It starts on your local county council.
Yep.
You
Your
don't have to
ANC.
walk up those steps, but that's where it starts. And that's where it matters the most, right?
Yes, it is.
The people who decide these election laws, these crazy ones about, what was it, Diane? You can't serve water to people who are waiting.
Right, online if they're right. It's totally ridiculous. Or bring food to them.
Right. Who
In other
decided
words,
that, y'all? Who decided?
A white man did that.
But I mean, what body of people decided?
The legislators of those states.
Your local
Those
election board.
That's right, local election board.
You think that doesn't matter? You might see it on the screen, or it might come across your local newsletter, email listserv for your county. Oh, the election board is looking for new people to serve. Right. That's why that matters, because they're going to be the ones that say no water, no food. Yes, state legislators can do it, but the people locally decide what your voter experience. They are trying to close down voting locations. That's the local election board.
Yeah, absolutely.
And real quick, we have a few questions coming in. More questions. We have a few questions coming in from Bay of Wakanda. Ooh, we have a very interactive, like I told you, ladies, we never know how it's going to go. So tonight it's definitely going very well with the questions and the comments, which I love. Okay, what are your plans after the primaries? How do you plan to keep the motivation and work moving through to the next voting cycle? Bay of Wakanda, we have to stay in touch because you are just doing it tonight. Did y'all hear those questions? Who wants to take?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Go ahead, Valarie.
All right, so we are focused on getting people the guides out for the primaries, whenever yours is. And just so you know, if you live in New York, yours is June the 28th.
All right.
You go on to Disney the week of June the 28th. Guess what? You better mail in before you go, right?
That ballot.
If you're in Maryland, June the 28th, I just heard today that our primary in Maryland is probably going to be delayed to an unknown date that can not go past August 10th, I believe.
What?
Why is it going to be delayed? Because the redistricting that was done in several of our areas is in court.
It's being challenged.
We got confusion about what is the district, because it's not decided that you're in. And now everybody might have said, I'm ready to vote by June 28th. We don't even have a date now. It's just moved. And if you're in DC, it's June the 21st. Look it up. If you scroll back if you go to Ballotpedia on the presentation, Sister AniYa, go back up there. That's the website you go. You put in your where you live, and you can figure out when your election is. So here's the
and excuse me, Valarie, let me interject something. And in DC, which is currently a very pro-voter jurisdiction, actually there is going to be early voting. And early voting is actually June the 10th. They will, DC will mail everybody a ballot on May the 16th. So people can be able to vote as early, and actually there's quite a bit of, it's anticipated that there will be a big pre-voter participation. In fact, that's where a lot of times they count most of the votes. And so keep that in mind, be on the alert. Those of you who live in DC, be ready for that.
Around the country, I don't know a jurisdiction that doesn't have an early voting period. And many of them are, my ballot is already, for certain elections, is downstairs in my kitchen. They already mailed me a sample ballot. And I'm like, how could they do that?
I just got something as well. Real quick, we have more comments coming in.
But let me answer that question.
Oh, yes. Because
so
real quick, I just wanted
to do a Black voter guide.
Real quick, Chantal just piggybacks off of what you all are saying. She says, it is very hard to vote for anyone these days. And I'm like, oh my God, but we're gonna go back to her in a minute. But yes, go back to how you can keep that motivation for the day of Wakanda.
So the reason we would, Diane and I are it. Like, we're the program leads, and we have some wonderful, phenomenal young Black women in particular with Elevate Her, who are community health workers, and this is a health issue, supporting us. But this is why we had to cut off the formation of new Blaction planning teams locally, because we knew we had to get our guides out for early voting and for primaries in June. That being said, if you want to form a team where you are, contact us, because this is the team that can keep that momentum going. Momentum has to be established locally, right? We will continue to have our monthly Blaction planning meetings. We're usually on the second Friday of each month from 7:30 to 9. Everybody's invited to that. It's free. That's how we keep the momentum going. In between, our local Blaction planning teams have at least a monthly meeting to talk about what they're going to do locally. Right now, it's the guide. But once the guide is done for the primary and then redone for the November 8th election, then we get into accountability mode, right? We put you there, or you got there despite us, however you voted. Now, here's what you said you were going to do. And now we're going to map out each of the local legislative sessions, right? Because every state has a different way of meeting. Our legislators, our elected officials in Maryland are part-time. They don't meet year-round.
Wow.
But people who do this advocacy work sit in their offices year-round.
Wow.
They even when they're not in session voting on bills, they know who's on what committee. Are you on the environment committee? Are you on the food safety committee? Are you on the transportation committee? They know this, and they make friends. So we are going to help our people make friends with their local legislators. We're going to do some point and click advocacy. Click here and send this email to so-and-so and model that for anybody who wants to work with us, right? And then do what I'll just loosely call report cards. How are they doing? As Diane said, this is what they said in the Black Voter Guide. This is how it's looking, y'all. These are some ways that you can write letters, send emails, show up at the legislative session, testify. We're going to teach people how to get the power. And the more people you engage, the more they pay attention to you, because
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
how many people do you represent? Oh, it's just you? Okay, I'll listen to you politely. But this next group out in the hall that represents 180,000 construction workers, I think I have to listen to them.
Right.
And take action. So the question I'm gonna turn back to you all. How are you going to get 5 more people?
That's right.
5 more Blacktivists where
right.
you live to form a group and get yourselves together?
Love it. And that is an excellent question, says Bay Wakanda. We also have another question coming in from King Will 81. With everything that's going on with the Biden administration, particularly with the inflation, do you think that the Dems are motivated to show up next voting cycle? Lord, he's hitting it tonight.
Do you, in terms of the voters, or
in
terms of the voters showing up?
With the voters, because you know, right now things, you know, we talked about this a little bit. So here's the thing, guys, we talked about it a little bit before. I didn't even want to bring up the war and different things happening, but it goes hand in hand. But we could be here until tomorrow, so we're gonna have to do a part 3 and 5 because it's a lot to unpack. But for just the meantime, we can ask, you know, in terms of the voters, because it's, you know, we typically as Black people, I think I know where King Will is going with this. We typically as Black people vote Democrat all the way down the list and the row. And right now we're having a lot of I'm Haitian American, so excuse me, skepticism in regards to our policy leaders in the Democratic world. So
so Sister Anaya, I'm glad you talked about that, because that is why the primaries are so important. Keep in mind that during the primaries, you have candidates running against each other within each of the parties. Now, and again, this is your opportunity now to actually get our parties. I get what you mean in terms of historically, Black folks, you know, being very loyal to the Democratic Party when they are not always so loyal to us. Well, guess what? This is our opportunity as a people to now look at those individual candidates, and those candidates that have been riding on our coattails all this time is to say, okay, now wait a minute, you've been in office, what have you done? And now, wait a minute, we're going to bring somebody new in here who has a more progressive and an agenda that is more in line with what my needs. And again, on the other side of that election, to do exactly what Valarie just described, and that's where we see our role, educating people around, you know, exactly how our legislation is made, how the decisions are made, as Stacey Abrams said, who the power brokers are. We need to know who the power brokers are in those various offices and who influences them. And we need to be influential. Right. And so, we need to recognize our power and not to take it for granted and not to underestimate it. So yeah, so that's why the primaries are so important. We can't sit this out.
Right, and you will hear a whole lot more in the media, and you'll see a whole lot more signs in the streets for general elections, right? So for November 8th, if everybody will have their eyes on that. Yeah. The people who want you to not have your eyes on the primary are trying to just tell you where to look.
That's right.
We're telling you that particularly if you live in a place that leans toward one party heavily, right? Yeah. So Maryland is that kind of state. We have very, very few non-democratic elected officials. We are a heavily Democratic state. That's a statement of fact, right? So the general election, when we're voting Republican against Democrat, isn't the real election, because most people vote Democrat. You have to think about it. The one that matters is the primary, when you have 47 Democrats that you have to sort through to figure out who are the ones that are going to end up on the ballot in November 8th, right? Put your eyes on the prize, not where people tell you to look. And to the question of will Democrats turn out, let me tell you something. And this might sound harsh, so get your tissues and, you know, your prayer partner or whatever, but I'm gonna say it.
He said, touch and agree. The church said amen.
Hey, look.
Preacher's kid, you already know, PK kid over here, yes.
Right.
Woo.
If you walk through this life based on how you feel, let me say it again. If you walk through this life based on how you feel, you probably don't belong in this conversation.
Well,
Amen.
Power and progress don't respect feelings. I'm not saying we don't have them. I'm not saying we don't have places where we need to acknowledge them, address, assess how they impact us, AAA model, being blah, 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 and address them. That's what we did in our Good Grief series. That's what we did in the conversations before we shifted to Blacktivism and action. Have the feelings, but take the action that is going to get you the result that you want. So if Democrats get mad about gas prices and they let the media convince them that one man in the White House and the Democrats or the Republicans or Putin or whoever made that happen and you mad about it, so you just gonna take your little vote and like take your marbles and go home. Who have you helped? You just helped your opposition.
yes.
That's one less person they have to worry about.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's not about how we feel.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna go there. How do you think Harriet Tubman felt?
Well, Jesus.
Can you imagine?
Hard to imagine.
Can you imagine how she felt crouching in the woods in the same set of clothes with a gun cocked to kill everybody from a baby to an old man if they make a peep?
Yep.
The slave catchers are after them. She didn't have to go back for nobody.
Nobody.
Right.
How do you think Harriet Tubman felt when she went on to be a spy for the army led by her oppressor? Because she could see past the oppressor to what she needed to happen for her people. If she stopped in her feelings, there would be no so-called Underground Railroad.
That's correct.
And I'm preaching and I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to listen because I'm talking. Listen, this world wants you to focus on how you feel. What we want you to focus on is the life you want.
Definitely.
What do you envision for your child that is better than what we have now? What do you envision for your children's children? And if you don't have children, you do have children, because this is one big village. My child is yours, your child is mine.
That's right.
And even if you can't think in terms of children, what do you want for yourself? Do you want to keep waking up every day looking in the news to see who's the next Trayvon Martin?
Or George Floyd.
Or Breonna Taylor? Or my own nephew who took his life at 18 in the pandemic? That I still can't make sense of that.
That's right.
No, you don't want that.
No.
So, as they say, you might be in your feelings, come out of them. Call your EAP program at work. Get a therapist, Dr. Diane. I don't know if she's taking patients. I'm not being facetious. Do what you have to do to take care of yourself. And we have a slide about that. Mental health, one slide up, right? And then get to stepping. Go get some power.
Never give up. Never give up. You know, we have a few more comments and then we're about to shut it down, but we are so appreciative of this time. Let me share. King Willie says he agrees with everything that we're talking about tonight. He's afraid that they are missing the opportunity. And I'm thinking about, he's saying the Dems. We're talking to, Gregory Roberts, our neighborhood supporter, says even though the Democrats are majority in numbers now, they are not using their numbers. Oh, that's so true. And they're not using their power either, but that's another subject for another night, because we could be here till 4 o'clock in the morning with this debate. I told you, sometimes we're here for like hours because the people are really intrigued and engaged in these topics. And then Gregory also says a united minority has more power than a disjointed majority. And for those that are watching on Instagram, you can't see the Facebook platform, but I want you all to listen to where you can reach out to these sisters. Also, take your comments, do me a favor, screenshot them or copy and paste them into our inboxes if we've missed any of your comments and questions, because they are going up and down very quickly. And the same is going on Facebook. The comments are flooding because these topics are very intriguing for the community, especially during the time that we're in. So we're going to take, I think, another couple of slides and then where people can reach out to you all, ladies, if that's okay with you, because you know what, this topic is so heavy. We're gonna have to invite you all back for a part 2. Let us know how we continue to work with you, what these next steps look like for our community, because we're facing a tremendous trial presently, and the people need help. They need resources. They need information. And I'm so happy that the ones that are connected this evening, especially, are intrigued and want to move forward hand in hand. Like the Bay of Wakanda, who just sent us a number of claps. I'm so here for it. Like the Gregory Roberts of the National Action Network, like King Willie, who, is always staying in touch and making sure that he's up to speed. We have, our sister, Chantal Auguste, who's from Haiti, who lives in the United States and who's a freedom fighter, who's a leader, who's shaking things up. I mean, you name it. We have Rachel Brumfield, also a National Action Network member, who's in this thing hardcore. The people that are watching this evening, you'd be surprised. And there are people that are watching that we don't even know that they're watching. And later on, they'll hit me up like, girl, that was a powerful platform. We got to talk to those sisters again, because on Facebook, we don't necessarily, well, on all the platforms, we don't necessarily see who is watching unless, they let us know. And then on same as YouTube, people are actually watching on YouTube now, but I don't know who they are and they're watching. So if they have any questions or concerns, please send them in. But yes, we're gonna share next steps and then how to get in contact with you beautiful ladies. And for you all that are on YouTube and on Instagram, go to AniYa A period. Follow me on all my platforms so you can get this slideshow presentation as well. If you ask me for it, I will send it.
So we have email addresses on the slideshow. It's Valarie at elevatehernow.org, literally elevatehernow.org, and it's Valarie, those who can't see it. And then Diane at beingwellwhileblack.org. Diane, Diane, at beingwellwhileblack.org. And we're having our next monthly Blaction planning meeting and teaching on Friday, April the 8th, 7:30 to 9 Eastern time. If you go to beingwellwhileblack.org, you can register for that. We ask that if you are in the DMV, and you're in Montgomery County, if you're in Prince George's County, if you're in Washington, D.C., we will be putting on the website our local community conversations. They're virtual. We're also, though, launching a survey, right? Yes. That anybody really could fill out to tell us what you want people to be held accountable for causing Black well-being. We also sport our own swag. We got a shop on our website, not only because we want to walk around and show Being Well While Black or Elevate Her, but also because it helps to raise funds for our organization every time you make a purchase. And then we have a link, an app. If you go to the link that's on the screen, it's good.app, app.link, and then / Black Health Facts. That is a free app from Let's All Do Good. You can put on your phone, and we are constantly putting out the facts Black people need to know about health, COVID-19, as well as social determinants of health, how to stay healthy and get jobs, things for your children, resources. So use that app very freely. But let me just address this question of the majority before I let Diane close out. All majorities aren't powerful majorities. That's what we're seeing in Congress right now. When you have a razor thin margin where just 2 or even 1 Democrat can tank an entire agenda, that's not enough. And it matters what kind of majority you have. If you have one who is fully aligned with the larger number of people in that party, that's great. But if you have one who's on either side of the party, they can decide which way they're going. So it matters the quality of the majority and the amount of people who are in the majority. These elections are sometimes decided by a few thousand votes, just a few thousand. That's why it matters. It's not about all the time not using the majority. You have to have enough of one and consistently, right? And so it's our job to make those assessments, not just about are they in the right party, but are they going to play to win? Are they marginal? And then let's just stop looking at the ballot. Let's put some people on the ballot.
Yes.
There are voter programs, and I'm a member of sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. We have just launched the Jordan Chisholm Institute. I hope you know who Barbara Jordan and Shirley Chisholm are in New York City. And we are funding campaigns by Black women to run for office. You enter that program and they fund you. When we are funding Valarie Demings, I hope you know who she is.
I've heard of her.
Look it up. Look it up. The Jordan Chisholm Institute by Delta Sigma Theta. I'm not casting aspersions. I'm not trying to be pro-Greek. That's not the point. But the point is we got to stop looking at the ballot and say, no, I put her on there. I put him on there, right? So with that, Diane.
And again, we invite you to reach out to us. We want to hear from you. We want you to get involved. Even if we're not, if we're not forming new teams right now, we want you to, we want to learn from you. You have valuable examples, very valuable information, and we want to be a conduit for education. You will educate us. We're learning as we go along. And so we want to collaborate and join forces in this journey together. And after all, we have considered Being Well While Black a movement. So this is not going anyplace. We're just getting started. So our momentum is building. So please get on this wonderful journey with us. Join us, get involved. Check us out on our website, beingwellwhileblack.org. Reach out to either Valarie or to me, Valarie at elevatehernow.org. And that's Valarie with Valarie, and myself, Diane, at beingwellwhileblack.org. We are so grateful to you, Sister AniYa A, for blessing us with this opportunity to be on your program. Thank you for this very empowering and lively and wonderful experience. And thank you to the audience. Thank you all for showing up and for participating, giving us some real thought-provoking and very considerate ways of thinking about some of these issues. And we look forward to being engaged with you.
So I also want to say thank you, Sister AniYa, for sharing that you are having a baby.
Yes.
Because that allows me to bring something up. Did you know, people pay attention, and the last minutes could sometimes be the best. Did you know that in many states that teenagers who are 16 and 17 years of age can pre-register to vote? So when you're thinking about that sweet 16 or what happens on the 17th birthday, march your little teenager to the Board of Elections and let them sport and send all over social media that they got their pre-registration to vote. That's another way that we help the next generation to understand the power that's at the ballot box.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you all so much for taking this time to share all of this information with us. We are so excited, and we know that we will be in communication with you all. And yes, hopefully my little one will be able to vote by the time they're 16 or 17. I went to college at 16, so I know my little one, if he's not going to college at 16, he better be voting for somebody. But we're going to try to raise a genius out here. Praise the Lord. And all that jazz. Amen, somebody. And you know what? We will definitely stay in touch. Again, we thank you ladies, but we also thank AniYa A, president of the National Action Network, DMV chapter, who is a soldier and a fighter. Thank you so much, Valarie Godfrey Scott. Please stay in touch on this platform as well, and look out for our up and coming shows. For all of you that were watching on Instagram and Facebook and who are so intrigued, again, you got the information here live on the AniYa A show. Make sure you stay in touch with me to get this entire pamphlet slideshow. I can send that to you all once you ask. You can also email us at theniyaashow@gmail.com. For those that are watching on the Zoom there, you could see it. And then for those that are on Instagram, you could see how to spell the AniYa A show or call us at 833-334-6468. Again, 833-334-6468, and we will let you know what the next steps are. Oh, King Willie has another comment. Thank you for doing what you do, for always fighting for freedom for the people. You know it, don't make me cry. Some days it's harder than others, but tonight was a great night because we have to be educated. You know me, I'm gonna throw in my little gangster slang in there. Educated people.
Oh, yes.
Hey.
Educated. And I want to share this about in closing, I want to share, thank you so much, Chantal. She said, thank you. This was wonderful. Thank you, Chantal. And she's watching out of Georgia, I think. Chantal, let me know if you're still in Georgia, my love. She traveled.
Battleground state.
You know it. And that's where Stacy done came from. So praise God. That's a lot of information for Chantal. I just want to share this past year or last 2 years ago or so, whenever the census was happening, of course, we got a ton of information prior to the census. But one of the things that people have to be educated on, seriously, is the, oh my God, I forgot the word. Just slipped my mind. I think it starts with, proxy. For those that don't know, you can't stand in proxy for your neighbors. We had one of the gentlemen from the census come into the building several times. And in New York City, I don't know if y'all know, but we don't open doors for nobody we don't know, praise God. What you at my door doing, sir? We don't know you. And especially if you're a foreigner, we definitely are like, no habla inglés, thank you very much. So now with that being said, he kept coming to the neighbor's house, and then I was kind of confused and conflicted because I didn't know what he wanted. And so I was stepping out walking my dog one day, and I was like, sir, I keep seeing you, but what is it that you're doing here? And I think I already had filled out the census myself for my household. So it was, over for, myself because I already did it. And he said, well, ma'am, I'm glad, you're speaking with me. Do you have a minute? I would like for you to stand in proxy for your neighbors. And I'm like, I'm not trying to go to jail. I don't know what that means, sir. Hello. And he was like, no, it just means that you can let us know information. I said, please, I don't even know if they're American citizens. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want them to go to jail. And he was basically like, nobody's going to jail. We just have to count, especially if they one of us, because if we are not counted, we are not getting the funding. So it's a little too late for, this past 2020 census. However, we will have one in 2030. So just keep that in mind. You heard it live on the AniYa A show. King Willie laughing. I'm serious. It really went down like that. And I stayed friends with Mr. Washington. His name is Mr. Washington. And we stayed friends, and he was such a sweetheart. And he educated me on a lot of different things with the census, and the proxy was one of them. And then of course, he also shared, for those that are not American citizens, you don't have to be in fear or anything like that, because the census is not something where they're taking your social security number or anything of that sort. We are being counted so that we could have something in the bank for our communities. How about that? We're being counted so we can have something to count. Thank you very much. All right. Well, we did it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm so excited that you all stayed to the very end. Chantal, thank you so much. She said great show, Queen AniYa. Thank you, my love. Let's stay in touch for all of these platforms so we could be connected. Lastly, Don Jones. I did send an email to Don Jones about you ladies, as well as the National Action Network headquarters and team, to let them know that this is a powerful platform that we have to get connected to, and they need to stay in touch somehow, some way. So after our maybe next week or so, because I have a few different interviews and meetings this week, but hopefully by next week we could try to get you on a call with Don Jones of the Political Action Committee of the National Action Network, so that you guys your ladies can communicate how you can merge your efforts or something of the sort. So I wanted to put that out publicly for those that know Don Jones and know all the work she does, so that we could get that DMV NYC connection made. With that being said, we love you, we thank you, and let's stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everyone, have a wonderful
Have a good
night.
evening.
A wonderful night. God bless you all.
And we look forward to hearing from you.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, be well, everybody.
Be well. Be well while being Black. How about that?
Right,
Right,
how about that?
Yeah. Thank you, sister. No.
All righty. Good night. Bye, ladies. Bye, everybody. We did it. I'm so glad we